Hello and welcome back, and in this video we're going to be building a custom button style, and we're going to basically explore how button style works by building a 3D button in SwiftUI and iOS 17. So buttons are one of the most commonly used UI component in SwiftUI, and since they are represented by such a large number of use cases, and user wants to take basically actions using these buttons, it makes sense to maintain a sense of consistency for buttons, ensuring that the user have a uniform experience throughout the app. So this is where button style comes into picture. SwiftUI provides button style protocol that can be implemented to create button style that can be reused across the app. Now, it is very straightforward protocol, and it only has one method to implement. So let's go ahead and learn this with an example. We'll create a simple view with a single button in the scene. So let's go ahead and create one right here, where we're going to create a VStack first, and inside the VStack we're going to add a button. Okay, now just name this button devtechie.com. By the way, if you haven't checked out devtechie.com, go ahead and click give a visit, and you'll definitely find a lot of resources over there to learn about iOS and basically enhance your programming in iOS and knowledge in iOS. Next, what we're going to do for this project, we're going to basically create a new struct called DT button style, conforming to the button style protocol. So we're going to simply create a new struct called DT button style, and this is going to be a button style. All right, and what we want to do is we want to basically resolve this issue. This Xcode is right now complaining that DT button style does not conform to the button style protocol. Okay, so let's add stub to prove the conformance, and as soon as you click on it, you're gonna see it's just basically asks us to create the type alias for the body. Let's go ahead and replace it type it out or solve. This is the make body is the only required function inside this protocol, and the way you can check it out is by jumping into the definition for the button style protocol, and what you're gonna find is body type is basically the association. That's why we were actually being asked to provide the type alias for that. So this return type can be defined to the type alias that you are actually trying to define here, but that's not the main required part. The required part is this make body, which actually gives us access to the configuration, and we can use this configuration to design our button, and we're gonna do that. Okay, now this returns some view. We're gonna leave it at some view. Basically this return type has some view, and that actually works for us. Now make body function gives us access to button style configuration via the configuration parameter, and this button style configuration contains the label, which is basically the view which contains the label of the button, is press state, which is basically a Boolean property indicating the press state for the button, and the role, which is an optional button role indicating the role for the button. Okay, so let's go ahead and add some style to our button. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to reach out to the configuration, and we're going to get the access to the label, and first we're going to set the font as title. Okay, and then right after the title, we're going to set the title to be, we're going to set this label to be bold. Okay, and then gonna give it a foreground style of white color. Okay, let's go ahead and set the frame as with max width as infinity, and the frame height as 50 points. Let's go ahead and give it a background, and this background is going to be color.orange in rectangle with corner radius as 10 points. Okay, let's go ahead and add some padding around this as well, And now we are ready to use this button style. So we're going to simply set the button style using button style modifier, and we're going to call our DT button style. Okay. And we should see the change, basically the style taking effect. And as you can see, this button is now styled according to the style that we have created. Now, as you can see, like, you have one style and you can keep this style universal to your app and basically just call button style DT button style throughout your app, and all your buttons are basically gonna look exactly like this. So we can actually just copy and paste, and we don't have to repeat all the modifiers. We just have everything ready to go. And we're gonna change this to learnwithdevtechie.com. Okay. All right, so now we have button style created, and now in this case button may, let's say button may require some background based on their needs. So let's make the color of the background color as configurable option. So we'll add a parameter to the button style, which can be passed in by the caller itself. Okay, so we're gonna go inside our struct, which actually implements the button style, and we're gonna say let button back color maybe. Okay, and this back color is gonna be of type color. And now as you can see that a button style is expecting us to pass that color. So let's go ahead and pass the color. So we're gonna say this time the color is going to be orange, and the other button is going to have the color mint. Okay, so we should see two different buttons using the same style, but the color now is configurable. Now the reason this is not showing up because we never change the color to use the button back color modifier. Okay, so now you can see basically the difference, the configurable color taking the effect. Okay, now let's use is pressed property and drop a shadow only when button is not pressed. Okay, so what we're gonna do is right after the padding we're gonna add a shadow. Okay, and we're gonna say the configuration check is pressed. If the is pressed is 0, then drop a if the button is pressed, basically then the shadow is going to be 0, basically no shadow. When the button is not pressed, then shadow is going to be 5 points. Now let's say we want to also define the direction for the shadow. So we're going to set the y direction or y coordinate. So the shadow is dropped from the y on the y axis, and we're going to say configuration dot is pressed. When it is true, the offset, y offset is going to be 0, otherwise it's going to be 5. So our button should have a shadow on the bottom side, not at the top side. Okay, now let's go ahead and press, and as you can see that button is showing the pressed state. So this is the pressed state and this is unpressed. Okay, so you can see how shadow can be controlled using the configuration, and we are actually controlling it using this is pressed configuration. Now with that we have actually a reusable button style. And with this new learning, what we can do is we can build a 3D style button in SwiftUI. Okay, so this 3D style button are basically we're going to use the same technique of combining the shadow and stuff, and then we're going to create that. So let's go ahead and hop onto the next video where we're going to create a 3D style button. First create the configuration for the options for different shapes and types of buttons, and then we're going to build out the style. Okay, so I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you.